Hello to all my listeners. Welcome to another episode of Geopod. I'm your host, Dylan Woods. And today I'd like to discuss the possible outfall of the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran a couple of days ago. So in the previous clip, I gave you my perspective on who Ismail Haniyeh was as a person and what he meant for the terrorist organization Hamas. Right now, I will talk about the fallout from this daring assassination and some of the potential scenarios that the region might be faced with. First and foremost, we have to discuss the element within Islam, which talks about the protection of a guest. According to Islam, and this is both in Sunni Islam as well as in Shia Islam, this is universal. When a guest enters your house or your territory, you are responsible for his well-being, his protection. That's why in many Islamic families, once you enter their household, you will be met with a lot of food, a lot of kindness, because that's their culture. It's their honor, it's their integrity. So for Ismail Haniyeh to be assassinated on Iranian soil within Tehran, where he was there for the inauguration of its new prime minister, stands as an affront not just to Iran, but to the very culture it represents. Israel knew this the moment they assassinated Ismail Haniyeh within Tehran. The assassination didn't act as just a means to an end to take out one of Hamas's most strategic leaders, but also to send a message to Iran that they can strike them unopposed at any moment, at any time, within their own borders. Now, the Iranians are obliged to respond, and Israel understands this as well, and I will talk about that a little bit more in depth shortly. So now the question is, well, how is Iran going to respond? Previously on this channel, I think a week ago, I posted a clip where I talked about the Iranian options that would present themselves the moment the conflict between Hezbollah and Israel escalates. And as of that moment, I said that I didn't believe that Iran was going to apply or commit boots on the ground, let's say, in a potential confrontation between Hezbollah and Israel. And I still believe that's the case. The reason why is the same as I outlined before. Iran has a proxy network, and it has a proxy network for that very reason. To shelter itself from direct involvement or full-on involvement in any potential conflict. However, Iran does need to maintain some sort of powerful aura, so it needs to respond. What we'll probably be looking at in the future is heavy rocket and missile attacks, accompanied by UAVs, similar to the attacks Iran carried out in April. But this time, better orchestrated, more severe, and better coordinated between itself and its multiple proxies around the region. And I believe this will be an example for how the future will look within the region. We're going to see closer cooperation between Iran and its various proxies, who will all increase and amp up their campaigns against Israel. But as for the moment, I truly believe they will be limited to long-range attacks and not to direct boots on the ground. What does Iran aim to do with this? Well, Iran is desperate to deter, even though its opponent has shown that it can infiltrate its airspace and take out leaders of its proxy networks unopposed. So it's going to be very hard for Iran to assume back that deterrent. Almost impossible even. What they wish to do with these volleys of rockets and missiles and these long-range strikes is, one, overwhelm the Israel aerial defense systems as much as possible and hopefully strike some critical targets that will prove to be catastrophic for the Israeli state. However, given their history, we must come to the conclusion that such attacks will likely be limited in the damage that they will do, given the fact that Israel's aerial defensive systems are much more advanced than Iran's offensive capabilities. So Iran finds itself in quite a predicament. It has one thing though, it has its proxy networks. So what it will likely do, or likely aim to do, is use subversion. Let's say, launch an initial strike, wait a moment, make Israel believe the onslaught is over, and then initiate the real attack, consisting of rockets, missiles, drones, not just from Iranian soil, but also from all of its other proxies simultaneous within the region. This is what I believe will have the highest chance of success against a country such as advanced as Israel. Here's the problem. Israel has shown, or has rather made it known, that they will respond to any retaliatory attacks in full force. Meaning, once they get assaulted, they will strike back. They will probably be much more efficient, much more targeted, and do a lot more damage than you will be able to do to them. Now, this might herald, let's say, a further escalation within the region, which will inevitably lead to a full-scale war between Iran and Israel. For Israel, because it is committed to protect its own borders no matter the cost, and protect the lives of its civilians against terrorist activities throughout the region. For Iran, it will be out of pure necessity, or they will lose face to such a degree that it can no longer muster some sort of deterrent, and it will lose the respect and allegiances potentially within its own proxy networks. So there are those defensive experts, analysts and journalists who have claimed time and time and again that Israel and Iran don't want war with each other. They don't want to escalate tensions. They don't want to push things further than they currently are. Well, with all due respect, those experts are wrong, and I will tell you why. The entire agenda of Iran, the entire region it created and keeps reinforcing its proxy net and expanding its proxy networks across the region. The very reason it keeps developing its nuclear weapons program is to obliterate the state of Israel and eventually challenge Western hegemony. This is their purpose. Every action they undertake within the region is to this end. So for you as a defensive analyst to say that they don't want war is ridiculous. Of course they want war. They might not want it at this moment, but that's a different conversation. Their end goal, however, has always been clear. In fact, they've even affirmed it themselves on countless occasions. They aim to wipe Israel off the face of the earth, and they aim to overthrow Western civilization, or at least diminish its influence within the geopolitical landscape and the region that is the Middle East to the furthest extent possible. Now Israel, on the other hand, well, Israel doesn't want war if we're talking about if it has a choice between living in peace side by side with its neighbors, based upon mutual respect, or enter another war which might take a very long time and which proves to be, let's say, encumbering on their resources. Well, then of course Israel doesn't want war. The problem is that Israel doesn't have that option, because Israel doesn't live with neighbors who respect it. Israel is living as the sole democracy within a highly volatile region where most of its agents and governments seek its annihilation. So what Israel wants is not war. No, Israel wants to neutralize and eliminate, diminish and prevent threats or potential threats it may be faced with that threaten its very survival. That's what Israel seeks. Now, does that come with war and with conflict? Well, yes, sometimes it does. It's the way the world works. History is full of this. And the problem that we have in the West is that we have grown so accustomed to adhering to diplomatic solutions that the moment they fail, we cannot comprehend it. It's almost like we're seeing that something doesn't work, but we keep trying to push it forward. It is like we keep throwing oil on a fire, hoping that it will soothe its flames. It won't. What it will do is only help surge those flames, creating a fire which will be even harder to contain and inevitably diminish. The Ukraine war has showed us that there are still parties within this world, a lot of them actually, that don't adhere to our common values, who don't adhere to diplomacy, who only adhere to their own ambitions and totalitarian agendas. These governments, these regimes, are the faces of evil. And evil cannot be bargained with. It cannot be negotiated with. It needs to be addressed. And the longer it is allowed to linger, the longer it is allowed to spread its dark shade across the world, the more harder it will be to address and thereby eliminate. Evil doesn't stop until it is stopped. And we in the West must remember this. Yes, diplomacy should be looked after at all times possible. It should be pursued whenever possible. But the moment it fails, we must have the strength of heart and the strength of mind to realize that we're now faced with a different predicament. A predicament that warrants different kind of actions. So what I'm very curious to see is that if Iran opts to escalate its tensions with Israel, what the Western world, and in particular the United States of America, who pledged to vow and stand for Israel's security, what they will do if such a situation occurs. These are my thoughts on the subject. These are my theories. If you wish to leave a comment, please feel free to do so in the comment section below this video. If you wish to engage with me in some kind of discussion or have some questions for me, please feel free to contact me. I ask you to leave a like below this video and to subscribe to my channel Geopod. I aim to put more content out regularly to entertain you guys and provide you with my theories and analyses. I thank you all for listening to this clip. Have a blessed day and stay safe. Thank you.